Good morning, everyone. We are really all grateful to be here in front of everyone and show how much progress has been done so far, and thanking everyone from CINEA and for their funding support, for SGU for their guidance and support, and for the other DSDs, because it was really a very nice journey to talk about it, and also to mention that every project worked with the other projects. We didn't work really in isolation. We helped each other in getting into where we are. So all of us, we almost started at the same time. We started in November 2022. We're finishing in the next 2 months. We're trying to wrap up things and have things done, completed, and publicly released for the benefit of community. So quickly about our consortium and those that made ÉALÚ-AER move forward and enable U-space services in Shannon. So each of us brought a lot to the conversation and to the deployment and to the solutions that we have provided here. Ourselves, with the Shannon Airport Group, we've been focusing more on the infrastructure from operational, safety and security. Our colleagues from Collins Airspace have been focused on all the U-space services and some of the infrastructure element as well. Afterrain and Deep Blue covered the aspects of human factors and skills. And by the way, I've seen a lot of people talking about also social acceptance, and we'll speaking tomorrow about our journey in identifying the value that these operations are bringing to the citizens in Ireland. And we're looking as well as skills gap analysis, and all of that will be covered with some of our presentations tomorrow. Our ANSP, Air Nav Ireland as well, were very, very part of this journey from the very beginning, even though they're non-beneficiary partner, but they are really a concrete one alongside with MANA, as you all know about them. Right, the journey started in November 2022, and it showed that full commitment from everyone to get the deployment in a controlled airspace, Class C airspace. As you can see in the top right picture there, left, it's the area in green, that's the airport boundaries. That's a major international airport with transatlantic flights and major kind of international movements on a daily basis. In this small, I don't know if you can see it, yellow square in that picture, it's basically where we are operating. We're basically less than 200 meters from the main runway. We said to everyone, if we deploy it here, if we have it running here, then we can be safely operated everywhere else as well. Before even like the journey started, we have designed and built our first drone port before even any design specifications were proposed to design any of these vertiports, and that was the home for our project. So we propose in this project 3 solutions. The first one is the BVLOS operations in Class C airspace. That basically started with some VLOS operations at the beginning and then going gradually into more complex use cases. So the second solution from our project is the use of an ESA Expand radar to increase surveillance and as an enabler as part of this project. And later on in one of the panel discussions, Javier from Collins will cover all the benefits and challenges as well to deploy such solution. The third solution that we are proposing is a reliable C2 link using CNPC. So this, for example, solution shows that the progress that CINEA SESAR JU put in the roadmap, that projects should feed into each other and move from one TRL to the other. The CNPC radio infrastructure that has been deployed and evolved during this project started from previous projects like the Tyndare project, from lower TRL to TRL4 all the way now to TRL8. So what to follow up with what Cengiz mentioned earlier, we're not only demonstrators. Like the word demonstrators, I feel like it's not giving us really the credits. We're here as implementations, and hopefully these implementations will go beyond these 3 years lifetime of the project. Our plans, for example, in Shannon is one of the good news that we heard recently. We got awarded planning permission to build a large-scale vertiport airside to enable eVTOL and eCTOL operations. This is really beneficial for the project and vice versa. So this will help us deploy further U3 and U4 services as part of the operations for this vertiport. This will set the scene for us in Ireland to make this largest kind of vertiport operations in 2026. The Ryder Cup, for some of you who might know it, it will look like the Olympics for Ireland. This is where we want to demonstrate that ÉALÚ-AER started small and to the level 8, and hopefully by that time we will be there to support eVTOL operations. Beta Technology shared that vision and shared the idea of coming to Ireland and help support deploying this. You'll see this is the Beta Alia aircrafts flying over the cliffs of Moher, the west side of Ireland, and we're looking forward really to see these aircrafts deploying some of our solutions and being monitored through our platforms. So many of us will be in the room today. I'm just showing up 3 of them here. I updated my slides to have the full team, but there will be more of us available today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a lot of insightful conversations. And thank you very much.
Good morning. Oh, I'm just going to adjust a little bit. Good morning. My name is Simon de Volderen. I've been the coordinator for the BURDI project. You see the full explanation right here. It's the Belgium-Netherlands U-space reference design implementation. It's quite a lot. So we called it short BURDI. I will try not to go too much into detail today. That's for tomorrow. I just want to give you some insights. We had a rather big plan deploying U-space airspace in quite a rapid way, having U-space operational for all UAS operators in Belgium. It's already a spoiler. We're not there yet, as Chingy said, but we have very significant steps that we were able to take. This project, of course, is not just me. It's been a whole big bunch of people, a lot of companies supporting these. We had everybody on board. Maybe one element still missing on this slide is the support we got from our National Civilian Aviation Authority, which certifies skies as well as CISP. So you can see a lot of people needed to be able to start deploying a full set of U-space landscape, let's say. We were focusing on 3 solutions, you could say. 3 solutions where we were focusing on where will we actually implement that U-space airspace. We in Belgium have already a lot of activities. We have about 16,000 drone operations in our CTRs on a yearly basis, just in geozones. We have about, if I'm not mistaken, 6,000 in the port of Antwerp. I'm quickly looking at the DDA. That's correct, okay. So we know where the operations are ongoing, and we know where we would like to see U-space support those operations and make it possible to go even that extra mile, to go more into the BVLOS operations. So we were focusing on U-space airspace in restricted areas, because we have quite a lot, in uncontrolled airspace, let's say, over Belgium, and then specifically into CTRs. This was the geographical view. That was what we had in mind at the start of our project, focusing initially on the port of Antwerp because of its big, important role it plays in this ecosystem. One of the things that I'm rather proud of this project is the translation that we made. We took on board the 664 regulation and started digging into all the details and defined really which values, which parameters do you need to be able to build up a U-space airspace, an operational U-space airspace. And the how-to is what we defined in our U-space CONOPS. And then the actual calculations, let's say the values, how big is a, let's say, deviation threshold, how big is that minimal coverage? Well, that's specified for each U-space airspace in the specific ARA documentation, which is a set of 3 documents, a reference scenario, a dedicated CONOPS for that volume of airspace, and then a final assessment. So to have U-space airspace operational, you actually need 3 components to come together. We almost achieved it up until now. We're still going those last activities. We have our U-space airspace, the initial one, Port of Antwerp, under a final review in support, supported by the CAA, to be ready to be published beginning next year, I say Q2, maybe 2026. Our drone operators, they are able to collect information and to have those U-space services provided to them through the platforms that were provided by the USSP. That USSP certification is still ongoing, but it's still going. And the CISP, we've achieved certification on that part. Now, I would like to give a small outlook for tomorrow, because today is just a sneak peek on what we did at BURDI, but actually the details will come tomorrow. So tomorrow at 10:45, we'll have a dedicated session on how we started, what we did, and what's next. We'll go through some key elements, such as what's the challenge for USSP, or what is the public benefit of U-space airspace, and last but not least, coordination mechanism. It's a small line in the regulation, but after all, it's a very big activity to make sure that everybody involved, stakeholders, regulators, are all in the same, looking the same way, supporting each other, and helping each other to implement U-space airspace, because at the end we want to implement, not only demonstrate, but deploy. And then, and this is really a try we're going to make, the BURDI demonstration at 14:30. We've seen the weather today. Let's hope that's only today, and that tomorrow we can really fly and show you how U-space airspace is operational in Belgium. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or anybody of my team. I would like to ask Patricia to present the next.
One sec. Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for being here today with us in the final event of the DSD project. After the sparring keynotes and introductions on BURDI and ÉALÚ-AER, it's now the time to talk about U-ELCOME, and most of the day will be about U-ELCOME today. Several partners of the project will be presenting what we have done and how we have done it. But in my case, I just want to give you some ideas of our results and main achievements. So the objective is that you can leave the room with some key ideas about U-ELCOME. From the very beginning, our strategic objective was clear. We wanted to ensure routine commercial drone operations in Europe by 2026. We can today say that we have laid the foundation to reach this goal. We still have some work to do, as has been expressed by SESAR and the rest of colleagues, but we have laid a very good foundation. Later today, you will know everything about the technical and operation details, but let me briefly share how we got here. So, in U-ELCOME, we have what we call clusters. You will hear this word a lot today. That is Spain, Italy, and France. These are the 3 countries where our demonstrations took place. We have other countries in the consortium, but our flights were in these 3 countries. We started in 2022, as the rest of the DSDs, and then the first year was committed to technical integration and system integration and some initial tests. Later, during 2024 and beginning of 2025, we flew. And we flew a lot using U-space services. But the important thing was not the flying itself, was the amount of data that we collected. We collected a massive amount of data, including drone tracks, system logs, questionnaires of the different stakeholders, and so on. So the last month, we have been analyzing this data and producing the final report with our results and our conclusions. And this report will be available for the general public, so it will be published in the next following weeks after a formal approval. And for this hard work of producing the final report, I would like to thank you, Víctor Gordo from INECO, because he was leading the activity, and it was not easy at all. So thank you very much, Víctor. I don't know where you're sitting, but thank you, Víctor. So if you have... So if you want to know something about performance benefit, KPI, and so on, that's the guy. They didn't let him present today because they thought it was going to be very boring, but he's available. Then, just a beautiful slide for transition of Port of Seville in one of the U-ELCOME flight. As promised, now I will jump directly into the key achievements of U-ELCOME. We have implemented U-space services up to Tier 8 maturity. As Tanya has said in the keynote, we have had more than 1,000 flights successfully executed using U-space services. We have had 1 common information service provider certified and 1 U-space service provider certified from Italy. You will know more later. And Spain is very close to the final goal too. Then, through our questionnaires and survey, we have proved that U-space services enhance the situational awareness for you as operators and pilots. That is a very important conclusion for us. But, as I said at the beginning, we want real implementation. So the use cases that we have chosen for U-ELCOME is real-life business-driven use cases. As you can see in the picture, we have agriculture use cases, we have operations around ports. Here in the night picture, this is Malpensa Airport doing logistical delivery between airport and industrial zone close. So we are benefiting today drones operator that they need to do this operation. So we have a real demand, and the U-space services is helping to answer this demand. But the road was not always easy. We are pioneering in this environment of U-space, so we need to face some challenge across the project. We are in an environment with the standards are evolving, not always ready for us, and where the regulations are the first time that has been implemented. So from the very beginning, we wanted to improve this landscape, to contribute to the standardization and regulation bodies to try to help with our findings. So regarding standardization, we have analyzed and provide some comments for possibilities of amendment to 6 different standards from different standardization bodies. We have made 5 initial proposals for standards that we have detected that was missing. For example, to share the health status between different U-space service providers or user interface representation. And last, in parallel of the project, a new standard has been developed led by one of our partners, the ED339, that will be published very soon. Regarding regulation, similar, we have analyzed the main U-space regulatory documents, and the unique thing about U-ELCOME, of the work that we did, is that we do dual analysis, theoretical and practical. So first, we analyze the different articles, different documents, and do the theoretical analysis, but then we design our validation exercise, taking into consideration that we wanted to provide feedback to regulators. So we design specific questionnaires and surveys for the different stakeholders, and we close the loop of giving a very exhaustive feedback for regulation. And other person that will have not a slot today is Cecilia, that is here. I want to thank her for working very hard in standardization and regulation. So if you have questions about these 2 topics, she will be available for you during the day. Coming close to the end of my presentation, I have said at the beginning, we have Spain, Italy, and France, but Eurocontrol is leading the project, and we are always wanting or looking for harmonization across our member states. So one of the main objectives of U-ELCOME was to make all the findings that we have useful for the rest of the community to make life easier for future implementers. So for this reason, we have produced a specific document that is the U-Space Implementation Handbook, where we collected lessons learned and recommendations of the implementation, but not only from U-ELCOME, also from our colleagues from BURDI and ÉALÚ-AER. So in this document, you can find a lot of information about the solutions that we use for the implementation in Spain, Italy, France, Ireland, and Belgium. So this will be published also in the next few weeks, and I will not talk a lot about this handbook because Marina has a session this afternoon, 1.5 hours, but I promise it will be fun because she will have several experts and we will have interactions with the public. So just keep there for the end of the day because it's one of the most interesting sessions of the 2 days. Just to finish, and now yes, my last slide, I just want to thank all U-ELCOME partners. I cannot put all the logos like was seen because we are 51, so no room for the slide. So I just wanted to thank especially the work package leader that are Droni Cavalli, Ineco, Enaire, Inaf, and Thales, but also all the rest of the consortium that you can see the names there. They are around the room, so feel free to ask me and I can introduce you to them. Thank you everyone because it has been a pleasure to work with you. So thank you. I am now heading to Christelle because I think we have time for Q&A.
Thank you very much. So we see questions are starting to come in onto the Slido website, so don't hesitate, flash the QR code here. For those who did not flash the QR code, you can go directly onto the slido.com website and use the following code 2244911. So 2244911. And I don't see any of you with your phones up, so please try to contribute to the Q&A. Don't forget to add the person or the project the question is addressed to, so it's not my duty to embarrass anyone on the panel and ask them directly. So if you have already identified someone, go ahead. One question we have here is, will there be a BURDI 2, U-ELCOME 2, ÉALÚ-AER 2 project? And I don't know who feels like answering that question in the panel. I'm looking at Benoit because we've just closed the call, so I don't know if you want to give any information on this.
Honestly, I have no idea if there will be a second project covering the same scope. So indeed, as part of the current call, which is under evaluation, there is room for U-space development, but we are still in this evaluation process, so we have received a lot of proposals, and we assume that all of them will be of a good quality, so I think it will be quite difficult for us to make a selection. And this is only, I would say, end of the year or early 2026 that we'll be in a position to provide the results of the evaluation.
Thank you very much. I hope it answers the question of the person who asked it. We will also take questions from the floor because, as mentioned, we have still about 20 minutes. So if you don't want to use Slido, you can also call for the floor and the mic will be activated. When you're doing so, don't forget to introduce yourself and where you come from. Other questions have been shooted on the Slido website. You can also upvote questions. So the first one here is, do you think more EU support can be provided to the sector and how? And I see that CINEA has been active writing already into the app their answer, but I don't know if Ms. Zachkova wants to elaborate a little bit.
Must admit I have technical problem because I don't have any access, so I cannot see the replies and the questions. So I suppose my colleagues are replying, or if you give me a second, I will try to restart my mobile phone. But I have no network on the mobile, so I cannot see anything.
No problem at all. We can give you a few minutes to sort this out. So there is another question. It's great. I mean, you're a super active audience, very quiet but very active on the Slido.
Okay, maybe.
Yes.
I can come in on the.
Absolutely.
There was this question about the EU support, and Benoit replied on the ongoing call they have in SESAR. I mean, unfortunately, what regards CEF supports or from the Connecting Europe's facility, we just finalized the grant agreements which were selected under the call of 2024, and that was for the moment the last call under the current financial framework. So for the moment there is no new call foreseen. We will have to see if we will be getting any reflows from the ongoing projects, because, for example, some projects may be terminated and there could be some money coming back, which could allow us, of course, depends also on the topics which would be allowed, which would be published. But if we have, let's say, some budget coming back from the ongoing projects, which would allow us to launch a new call, we may do so, but for the moment there is no such decision, and also no such, let's say, decision on the topics which would eventually this reflow call have. So for the moment we unfortunately do not have any resources under the CEF for the new call.
Thank you very much for your answer. Another question that is first ranking for now, wouldn't it be necessary to focus more on eye conspicuity before drone operations can really scale up? Of course, go ahead, Patricia.
So yes, regarding that, in this afternoon panel about the handbook, there is a dedicated panel about e-conspicuity, where several experts will share how we solve e-conspicuity during our projects. And beside that, Eurocontrol, together with EASA, we are working in flight campaigns and pilot projects to work on analyze the e-conspicuity technologies that are available today. So work is being done, and you will know more this afternoon with the expert, and you could ask a specific question about that.
Thank you. There is a question on services provided to users free or of charge, or whether they're paid for services for U-space. How do you set the financial policy? And maybe it's something that each project can respond to individually. Simon? Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, at the basis, U-space and USSP operations are commercial activities. So let's hope at some point they get paid for what they do for, because they are allowing you and enabling drone operators to scale up. Instead of spending months and months and months on preparing a SORA to maybe execute one flight, you'll be spending maybe a few hours to execute multiple flights. So in that term, the effort conducted by USSP will have to be covered, and it would be correct to have them covered by the people who benefit from these type of operations. So I think in an equal and open market, yes. How it should be calculated, well, that depends, of course, on how operations are conducted. It depends on the volume, and I think we've seen U-space operations or U-space airspace being developed in small plots, so let's say, a small ink-blot approach that scales out. In terms of data and cloud computing and so on, scale is of an essence. It's the volume that will allow you to reduce your cost for the end user. So the smaller you keep your U-space, at the end, the more costly it will be, because your base price will be the same. So this is more of a financial consideration on this part, but I think it's quite logical to have this approach.
Thank you. Wasim, do you want to complement that answer?
Right. So about 2 weeks ago, I think, or 2 or 3 weeks ago, the chorus workshop was taking place in Cork, and one of the sessions we're covering was exactly about the business model and how can we make this viable, right? There is a lot of discussions and debates who should be covering this. Everyone is pointing fingers to the ANSPs. ANSPs will tell you, like, this money is coming from airlines for airlines, right? It's not going to be supporting this. So this should come from different pots of money, really. So how this should be regulated, I think it should start probably from the departments of transport, for example, to kind of see what is the priority really in putting this forward and funding it. But also it should be coming from a European level, let's say, support. I'm not saying that it is the solution to go forward for, but again, in parallel with this, we need to look at the business viability of this. This is not just a service for free; it's a service that you have to pay for. But who's going to be paying for, and how much, and what type of activities are kind of lucrative to allow them to really pay for these services? And this is something is still ongoing, and a lot of debates around this. We cannot really give one answer to it. It's still something to look at in the next few, well, I would say the next 10 years maybe.
Thank you. Patricia? No? So we hear a lot of regulations, then business case. It was another question raised here. Governance is the next topic on Slido. How are local and regional authorities involved in each project's development? And again, maybe I'll ask each of their projects to answer that question.
So in the case of U-ELCOME, we even have some local authorities part of the project itself, the consortium, like the Cabildo Fuerteventura and others. And then also we have this mechanism of local advisory board where different stakeholders like city halls, local authorities were informed about the different activities that were done in their area. And we have very close collaboration with them, police, firefighters, so all the local actors were involved in our demonstrations in the different locations.
Thank you. Wassim?
Yeah, so I was already typing back some responses there, but I would say that I think in the three projects, the ANSBs are involved already. Like, they represent a big part of the local authorities, national or local, really. On top of this, the regulator, I don't think any of the regulators left the projects work on their own. They all have been doing a lot of oversight and making sure that these operations are compliant, etc. We were doing some feedback loops from time to time to make sure that they are aware of what's happening. For ÉALÚ-AER as well, we had separate communication channels with the Department of Transport to kind of feedback and to them to see where is this drone strategy for Ireland going to go forward with. But also the local authorities, we are in between Limerick and Clare, and we were also trying to tell them that what we are doing is safe, but also they're pushing towards to make sure that environmental impact assessment is done correctly and so on, and to the level that they accept it. Like, there is involvement from their side as well. So it's not like we're doing this in a sandbox, we're doing this in a well open environment with a lot of local authorities involved.
Thank you. Simon?
Yes, I would like to refer back to one of my slides where you had an overview of drone operators, airspace, and so on. So we had 4 components, and actually within every component, the role of the regulator or the support that is coming from the National Civil Aviation Authority is different. For example, for the drone operators, they still need to receive a authorization for their SORA, so that's another component, another support. For certification processes, it's the supervisory authority in our case that is supporting us. When we're looking at U-space, airspace, well, then it's a whole other ballgame again. Then it's the team of infrastructure and airspace that is supporting us, and that we are learning from them and they are learning from us. But at the same time, if you look at the U-space regulation, you have the Article 18F, which is going a lot deeper than just aviation. We have Article 18F telling you that, well, if you're flying at a certain location, just have a look who is actually there. And when we're talking about who's actually there, we're talking about fire departments, local authorities, provinces, and let's say Belgium is rather complex, so we kind of get a hang of it, how to organize such a things. More will be, of course, in detail tomorrow, because I've asked our expert, Vasil Zagoridas, who was the U-space coordinator in this case, to describe really the process of executing a full coordination mechanism, because that's really another layer on top of U-space, it's the coordination mechanism. So again, regulatory activities are quite diverse and very broad.
Thank you. Cengiz? Yes.
Yes, also to complement the authorities' involvement, but at program level, then each of the projects explain the relation with their countries, but at SESAR point of view level, program management point of view, organize every 3 months a coordination, exchange of information, meeting with the state representative group, then the civil aviation authorities, the project, EASA, and SESAR together, the aim being to share and put at the same level the information, the findings, the questions, the issues, and the way issues have been solved by the project to the authorities. And it has been proven to be useful. We organized 11 meetings with those entities, and the 12th meeting being here today. I'm happy to see a majority of them here around the room.
Thank you. So quite a collaborative endeavor indeed. We have time for one last question, and just in case you had not realized, there is a guest Wi-Fi, a Eurocontrol guest Wi-Fi, which might be why the connectivity was not fully ensured on that side of the room. So the final question is regarding the timeline for the full-scale U-space implementation across Europe, which is foreseen to 2045, as we've heard. How does this compare to the planning in other economies, especially or other markets, such as the US and China? Who wants to take that question? It can be someone just sitting in the room as well who has the answer. Yes, go ahead.
I'm not saying that I have the answer. I just would like to comment on that remark. It's all about risk appetite and where we focus on. I would say. And what other continents or countries do is really not of any value as such. We can learn from them, they can learn from us, but at the end, we are supporting local economy, we're supporting European companies, so why should we focus on what others are doing? Maybe if we can learn, of course we can learn, but the focus for us is actually here, to my mind.
Perfect. Wasim, go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, I think Cengiz also raised his hand, right?
Yes,
I think we're going to
absolutely.
say the same thing probably. So with some effort through the U-space coordination cell and under Cengiz, let's say, guidance, we were trying to kind of organize regular workshops with our counterparts in the US to make sure that they are also aware of what's happening. It is hard to say and put a timeline, to be honest. In some areas we're way more advanced, in some areas they are way more advanced. So it's like, it shouldn't be competition, should be maybe a co-opetition sort of. It's in between, like, and another interesting aspect, we also as ÉALÚ-AER, we have received 2 representatives and 3 directors from the FAA to come to see what is really the deployment looking like, how can they foresee, like, what's the operations like, and they went into the details, and in fairness, they were super impressed by what has been done here. But at the same time, sometimes we hear about other projects happening in the US, we feel also that we are getting so much impressed by them. So it is hard now to put a timeline really and see who's gonna win the race, but I think everyone is going their own direction anyway.
Thank you very much for this
Cengiz, do you want to add to that?
honest answer.
No, just to add that, yes, we have a good collaboration with the FAA. It's not competition, it's collaboration. And as the same, we have regular meeting with the Japanese colleagues and Korean colleagues also.
Thank you. So I think we will actually move to the U-space Spanish experience. So Patricia, if you want to introduce the next panel. Thank you very much,
Yes.
and keep on being active on the Slido. It's working very well. Thanks.
So now we have Daniel García Monteavaro and Rodrigo Benedit from ÉALÚ-AER that they will introduce more in detail what the Spanish cluster has done during U-ELCOME. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. It's an honor to be here in the representation of the Spanish cluster. We are a lot. You will see that we are a lot of members, and of course this presentation is on behalf of everyone. Thank you very much to SESAR and Eurocontrol for hosting and celebrating this interesting workshop with the other projects. And I will start with the introduction of this cluster, and then Rodrigo will execute a demonstration. It's a video, but it will be like a real demonstration of the whole process that we have done in 2 different locations in details. And of course, as it has been introduced before, outside you can ask any question and we can show the different U-space platforms that we have used, etc. So a summary of the Spanish cluster, as you can see, is 8 different locations, 8 different sites. So it has involved a lot of coordination between the different clusters, and we will see later the different use cases. But you can see the different locations, including Canary Islands in the below part of the chart. As a general information of the cluster, we are more than 25 stakeholders in Spain. As Patricia introduced, we are 51 members in total, so more than half of the members are Spanish. And we have also 3 different USSPs. Our cluster has mainly focused from the interoperation in interactivity of different USSPs. It's something that we have done in every demonstrations, and we will insist more in that in more details. And as you can see, we have 3 different USSPs from ÉALÚ-AER, DALIA, from the ITG, and ASLOGI for University Autonómica of Barcelona. And of course, it's also the flight here because we have also an interoperational exercise with them that we'll see this afternoon also. One CISP, that is ÉALÚ-AER, more than 20 validation flight campaigns, and of course the involvement of authorities. This is a summary of the different members with the CISP, USSP. As you can see, many US operators in the part that it's in the upper side. But of course, they have different roles also, not only US operators. They are also part of the industry, airport operators, and local authorities. We have had 3 different also ANSPs, not only ÉALÚ-AER, also Skyway and SAERCO, that are private companies in Spain that have been also been participating in the dynamic airspace reconfiguration exercises. And what different use cases we have had. In Madrid, Andalusia, and Aragon site, it's been more focused in I think, one of the most important use cases we will have in the very beginning, that is the delivery of medical supplies, a first aid. It's a very well accepted use case as a social acceptance, right? And these 3 sites, it's been focused in this kind of use cases. In Navarra and in Canary Island, it's been more focused on emergency and rescue. For instance, the emergency management during fires, that is also very important in these days. And in Canary Island, in the first response during rescue. But what about surveillance, inspection, public safety? That's very interesting use cases also. And Rodrigo will present the Galicia site and the Valencia site, specific exercises and during the video. And of course, we have also Catalonia, that it's very focused in the public safety and the police use cases. How we started? We started from the very beginning in 2023 in more than 160 validation flights, and we started from the very beginning with the 3 U-space service providers integration in the platforms. And we had started with 6 locations and more than 30 US operators, as you can see in the summary. So from the first year, we started with the integration of the 3 USSP. That for us, it was a very, very interesting milestone. What about 2024? How did we continue? Well, we continue with with the rest of the locations and more than 350 validation flights in the different communities, and ending in 2025 very focused in the final flight campaigns in open days. And as you can see in this chart, the colors, it means what were the USSPs that were involved. As you can see, in yellow, there is the Dahlia U-space service provider, that's Logic platform in green, and the 91 in blue. And of course, the DFlight USSP in the final, in the last month, in this last June, during the Expo event. That was also a very important milestone. We did demo days in all locations, in the 8 locations, and it was quite nice. And now I will give the floor to Rodrigo to continue with the introduction to the demo part.
Thank you, Daniel. First of all, I would like to second the thank you and the congratulations that Daniel have tell you to all of you for being here today, and it's a thank you from the side of ÉALÚ-AER and from the side of all the members of the Spanish cluster of U-ELCOME project. Well, my part is the more technical part, as Daniel has started telling you. So I will try to express it correctly, okay? First of all, I would like to start with the servition of the services that we have implemented here in the Spanish cluster. Okay, we have from one side the services that our 3 USSPs have implemented. Okay, all the USSPs in the Spanish cluster have provided more or less the same services. Okay, we have the 4 mandatory ones in the left side of the screen. that is the ones that are covered in the regulation CCS4, okay, network identification service to provide the position of the drone, geo-awareness service, that is information about the airspace, traffic information service, that is about not only where is your drone, but where are other aircraft, manned or unmanned, and US of flight authorization service, that is the flight plan of your drone. No? Additionally, all the 3 USSPs in the Spanish cluster have implemented too the conformance monitoring service, because we think it's really useful for the safety of the operations, and they're more well, it's more useful in any case nowadays that we need an additional screen for performing these U-space operations. Regarding the services and the information that is provided by the Common Information Service Provider, that information is in the right side of the screen, and is information about the airspace, no? That is your geographical zones and static and dynamic constraints, and information about manned aircraft in controller space. Therefore, we have applied and validated the DAR procedure, that is a procedure that has been developed by ÉALÚ-AER in Spain and has been tested with the 3 different ATSPs, as we will see later during the video. Okay, now that we know what services are we providing in the Spanish cluster, let's focus in the U-space architecture. The U-space architecture could be summarized with this phrase that you are seeing in the screen, okay? It's a multi-USSP environment that is something that is unique in Europe, so it's really interesting and it's an honor from our side and something to be proud to be a cluster with a multi-USSP environment. And we have a single CISP. This means that if in Spain will be more than a U-space airspace, we will provide as CINEA the services of Common Information Service, no? The provision of these services in all the different U-space in Spain. We have been designated recently in ÉALÚ-AER as a Common Information Service Provider for the next 10 years, so this is our goal in Spain. And the communication between USSPs, and this is really important too, is being done indirectly. This means that it's being done through a centralized platform by a dedicated module, as we will see now. So taking this phrase into account, this is the architecture of the Spanish cluster. In the center, we have an area you have platform. Okay, this is this centralized platform that I was talking to you, and have different modules that are the 3 boxes in different color that you are seeing inside the area you have platform. The first one and the most important one is the CIS module. Okay, that is for the provision of CIS information, and is regarding the Article 5 of the CCS4 regulation. Okay, this information, as we have seen before, is taken from the ANSP that is in the left side of the screen. It comes to an area platform through this blue line that you are seeing there, and is provided to the 4 USSPs we have in the Spanish cluster. Okay, the free one on the right side of the screen as the free Spanish USSPs. And recently, in 2025, we integrated in this platform too the Italian USSP, that is the flight, as we will see later too in another demonstration. This is the blue box, okay, CIS module. We have another module that is information exchange module that is for this indirect communication between USSPs. That's the yellow line that you are seeing here, and it's only for you to know that the communication is not directly between the USSPs. And the third box is the green one, that is Audi module, and this module is the interface the authorities and air traffic controllers have to interact with U-space. This is both for performing that procedure in the case of air traffic controllers, or for defining an emergency area inside U-space. As Danny has introduced, before, we have tested this module with the 3 different ATSPs in Spain that are ÉALÚ-AER, ÉALÚ-AER, and Skyway. We have validated this in real demonstrations, okay? And once the U-space has the information, is provided to the US operator, that is the box in the bottom of the slide, and the communication between U-space and US operator can be both between tracker or GCS integration. Okay, now let's focus really quick in the contribution of the U-space to the deployment, well, the contribution of Welcome in the deployment of U-space in Spain, okay? And I would like to talk a little bit about the first ARA that is being developed in Spain, that is in the city of Benidorm in Valencia, and is expected to be here the first U-space airspace in Spain. The contribution of Welcome in this study, in this assessment, is really important because it has been possible, thanks to this project, to conduct practical operations, US operations that complement the results of this ARA. That is something that without Welcome would have been more difficult to do. And another contribution has been regarding the authorities, because we as ÉALÚ-AER are the responsible of develop the ARA, no, in Spain, and inside Welcome project there is the City Council and the local police of Benidorm. So thanks to Welcome, it has been possible to have a more close contact with them. Another contribution of Welcome to the deployment of U-space in Spain is regarding the operational U-space simulation environment, because from one side, as you have seen before, we have different companies that are developing U-space platforms, and thanks to Welcome, it has been possible to test this platform in a multi-USSP environment that would have been almost impossible without this project. There has been a great opportunity for companies that are working in certification of their platforms and certification of their procedures to can test it in a simulated, well, in a real environment. Also, it's not an operational environment. And as I have said before, it has been possible to validate or at least demonstrate the DART procedure that we have developed in ÉALÚ-AER with the 3 different Spanish ATSPs. Okay, now let's go to the demonstration, okay? I have to explain you a little bit before we start, because this is a video, okay? It's not a real demonstration, because we want to show so many things, so many functionalities of our platforms, and we have take the decision of develop a video with all the different videos that we have recorded during the real demonstrations we have done in 2025 inside U-ELCOME project. So all you will see in the video is real, okay? It has been recorded in this year. Also, it's not a real demo nowadays, okay? Because we don't have enough time. So, Cecilia, when you want, we can start with the video. It's a video that is commented, okay? I will take this. And as Danny has introduced, we will focus in 2 different sites, but it's important for you to know that we have 8 different sites, okay? And we have developed and implement Welcome in a total of 9 different locations, okay? In this case, we will focus in Galicia site and in Valencia site, because one of the sites is controller space and the other one is non-controller space. So, for example, in Galicia will be useful for showing you how is the DART procedure and the DART functionality in our platforms, and in Valencia you will see, for example, how an emergency area is created, okay? In any case, as I will summarize at the end of my presentation, in each of the 8 different sites, we have done similar things, all in multi-use SP environment, and we have tested so many and validated so many use cases that are really useful for U-space. So, well, as I was saying, here you can see the 8 different sites. Okay, we will start with non-controller space in Valencia, and is in the city of Benidorm, where the first U-space airspace will be deployed. Now you will see here the different use cases, okay, public safety operation in urban environment, and we will see the authorities' interaction with U-space through this Audi module, okay. The platform used are the free Spanish USSPs and the centralized platform of ÉALÚ-AER you have to interact with them and for the authorities' interaction with U-space. Okay, first of all, let's start with DALIA USSP, okay, the USSP of ITG, and let's create a flight plan as we were the US operator, okay? The first step is defining the location. We are in the U-space of Benidorm, and we will define the shape of our flight plan. One is defined. We have to put, well, we can put a name of the operation, okay, for having it registered, the type of operation, the flight rules, the category of the operation, and we have to put too the time of the operation and the hour. Well, the point of contact too, sorry, just in case someone needs to contact us. And now we have to add the operator that we want to use and the aircraft and the pilot, because maybe you can have only one operator but different pilots. Once the flight plan is submitted, we need the validation of it, okay? As this is a non-controller space, we don't need a dedicated permission for this operation. Once we have the permits, we can start the operation, okay? This is real videos from the demonstration we did this year in Benidorm. And as I had told you before, it was a multi-use SP environment with more than 15 simultaneous US operations. Here we can see this multi-use SP environment in the demonstration that we did in Benidorm from DALIA USSP. Okay, the US that you see that have a flight plan, the shape of the flight plan are from DALIA USSP, and the other US that you see that doesn't have a flight plan are from other USSPs. It can be from ÉALÚ-AER or from ASLogic. Here we can see, for example, a conformance monitoring alert. That is the reason why this US and the flight plan is in red. And this is, I will stop for a minute here. This is the view that an authority could have in an area Audi platform, okay? As you can see, is the same information, but from the authority, you can see all the flight plans and all the US, like if it were from the same USSP, because in the beginning, we think that for the authority, it doesn't matter so much from one USSP is the US. Also, they can know it, okay? This is more or less the same information, again, in DALIA USSP, because we want to do a review. And this is the information in ASLogic USSP, okay? We will stay here for a moment, seeing the ASLogic USSP too, because it's interesting to see that they have this 3D map that we think is really useful. And other USSPs, we are working on this for having a 3D map, because it's interesting for seeing all the US operation and have more situational awareness. Now you can see the track of the different aircraft that are flying there, okay? The different drones. And you can see, for example, from each one, from what USSP are they, the altitude, the speed, and all the different information. From in this case, for example, we have both rotatory UAS and fixed wing UAS. That's why you can see that some flight plans are bigger than another. Okay, and we did operation from on the top of the water and two in a urban environment. Okay, we have to simulate. We have to define all this operation. And now here you are seeing the NAIRE USSP. That is important here to show this functionality because it's something that we haven't seen before neither, and is the functionality to report an emergency that is part of the information of network ID. Okay, so as you can see in the part of the right side of the screen, the US operator at any time during its flight can report or a loss of link or a loss of signal, or maybe to have a loss of control in its US. And this information is transmitted in real time to the different USSPs and to the authorities, as we will see now. Once the pilots report this emergency, its US changed its color from green to red, okay, indicating that there is an alert. And he can see there in that table the type of alert that it has. And this is the same view from an NAIRE Audi, okay, from the authority. This is how an authority will see this type of information in a real environment or U-space environment. And for ending this demonstration in Valencia site, we will see now how an authority can create an emergency area, okay, an emergency area inside U-space. This is really important because we think that an authority can interact with U-space at any time. For example, if there is a fire or there is any type of emergency, and can evaluate and follow the operations that are being performed there. So the authority has created this shape, has indicated the reason, the upper and the bottom limit of the area, okay, and the reference. In this case is above ground, AGL. They can put the type of restriction to and the time of activation. And for ending, they have to put a contact, just in case a US operator needs to talk with the authority for any reason if they cannot end the operation. In this case is the use case that we saw there was a fire, that there were a fire in the city, and the firemen put this emergency area just for US operator to stop his flights. And once this area is created, is launched in real time to the different USSPs, and we will show now how they end the operation, for example, in Dahlia USSP. Okay, you can see there the area in orange, the area that has been created by the authority, and the 2 drones of Dahlia that are operating there that needs to end its operation. They have a withdrawn alert due to this reason. This is something that the authorities can do both in U-space in control or non-control space. Okay. Well, this is everything from Valencia side. Now let's focus in Galicia side, that is controller space. Okay. And this is the use case that we shown during the real demonstration: surveillance and inspection in port environment, and the data application through an ATCO in U-space through Audi module interface. Here we have 2 different USSPs, NAIRE and Dahlia, and the centralized platform of NAIRE U-Hub. Here we have one of the longest BVLOS flight in the Spanish cluster that were 23 kilometers and were done by the aircraft ÉALÚ-AER from Rigitech. First of all, let's see how a pilot can create a flight plan, in this case in an NAIRE USSP. We have selected this to show this just to for you to see that the process is really similar to the ones that we have seen in DALIA, okay? They have to define the shape, they have to put a name of the operation, the type of category, the time at the hour of the operation, the altitude, okay, 120 meters, and the drone and the pilot, okay? Once he have this information, have to put to an emergency plan, okay? This is something our USSP demand to have, just in case there is an operation, that we have the procedures of the operator, okay? They put the emergency plan. Sorry for the language, it's in Spanish, but well, I explain it to you. And once they have this emergency plan, they need, in this case, a section, the permits, okay? Because we are flying here in control space. I will stop the video 1 second here, because it's really quick and it's better to explain it. I don't know if you have seen it, but we have changed from an area USSP now to an area Audi, okay? This is the view of an authority, because they have to permit to the US operator to fly there in control space. That's why now the authority is allowing this operation. One is allowed, now we return to an area USSP, okay? The pilot have all the permits and can start the operation. Now we want, as you will see now, the drone that will be flying will have an alert, okay? This alert is because the pilot has started the flight prior to the official time and hour of the start of its operation. So this is for you to see, for example, an alert of non-conformance, but inside your flight plan, because it's an alert regarding the time of the operation. Okay, now I think we will see an area of the platform again. No, sorry. This is official videos of that demonstration that we did in the port environment, okay, in A Coruña. And now here you can see another functionality. We will show it in an area USSP, but all the USSPs have it. That is the conformant alert when you go outside a flight plan. We have a warning alert, that is this yellow one, when you are in the deviation threshold area, and when you finally go outside your flight plan, there is the non-conformant conformance alert, okay? This is something, as I have said before, that all the USSPs have. Is really similar in all of them. And it's true that in this case, the deviation threshold within is really small, okay? The idea for the future implementation is to have a more higher deviation threshold. So the pilot has more time to react prior to go outside its flight plan. And as you have seen there, when the pilot returns to this flight plan, the drones return to green, okay? That is without any alerts. And this is the flight of the ÉALÚ-AER from Rigitech. That is the one that I have told you before, that is one of the most longest we have in the Spanish cluster. The other more, well, or similar longitude that we have were from the Tarsis aircraft from Airtec in Jaén, in the site of Andalusia. And in this specific case, this aircraft is being really used for the delivery of medical supplies. And we have used it, for example, in other sites, for example, in Canary Island. Here we can see in DALIA USSP that flight from that day. That's the Rigitech, and there, when you select the drone, you can see all the information about the altitude, the speed, the heading, the time of starting the operation, the ending. And therefore, any pilot can see the other operations that are being performing in real time. Okay. In this case, as I have said before, the drone that doesn't have a flight plan is because it's from other USSP. Okay, the one on the center, in the center of the screen. That in this case were from an area USSP. And this is the view, the same view, but well, in other moment, but it's the same view of that real demonstration from the perspective of an authority, okay, in an IRI-Audi platform. You can see all the different flights, in this case without any alert. And if you select one of them, you can see more information and so on. This is the perspective of an authority that is not an air traffic controller, okay? And now we will see in the same platform, but from the user that is an air traffic controller for performing the DART procedure, okay? This is what we are seeing here. This is from the same day that meanwhile the US operation were performing in the environment, in the port environment. Me and Eric, one colleague from ENAIRE 2, were in the control tower of A Coruña airport with SAERCO, and the air traffic controller performed here the DART procedure, as we will see now in another video that we have from that day, that we record the screen of that computer that you are seeing there in the video. The feedback of the air traffic controllers in general in Spain were really good from this platform. They told us that it would be interesting to have it implemented in the air traffic controller system, but it's true that we have to start with an additional screen, okay, with a separated system. And the idea when we get certified, maybe in the future when we have a U-space airspace in controller space, is to start with this, okay? Or once we get validated the system, maybe we will focus in this real implementation in the system of the air traffic controllers. And this is the record of what the air traffic controller did that day, okay? This is the U-space that we defined for A Coruña. And there are two sectors, as you can see there in that blue shape inside U-space, okay? As you can see, the idea were to show that a DART can apply for one drones and not to other in the case that we have the U-space sectorized, okay? The air traffic controller can see all this information about any of the operation, okay? Can see the contact of the pilot, the type of operation, the time of starting the operation and ending, and the shape of the flight plan and the position of the drone. And the status of the drone, because there are one that has an alert, as you are seeing there. Then the air traffic controllers, we will simulate that a manned aircraft needs to enter into that US space, so we'll need to perform the DART for one of the sectors, okay? Has selected the sector that you are seeing in the center of the screen, and he has to click in the button that is a plane on green, okay? Because as you can see here, the US space is represented for air traffic controllers in red, because it's a forbidden area for manned aircraft. So when you will see that when they perform the DART, the color will turn to transparent, okay? Because it's an area that is more allowed for manned aviation. So the idea is to select that button, that green button, to select the sector. He can select both, but in this case we want only one. And to confirm. When he confirms, the DART is sent to all the USSPs and to all US operators. He can see there that there is a sign, no? A yellow sign indicating that the operators have received that alert, and all the drones become in red too, because they are in a non-conformance, because they are in a forbidden area. The idea here now is that the air traffic controllers awaits until the US operations ends, and once the area is clear, allows to the helicopter, in this case, to enter into US space, okay? Until that time, you will see that there is a red warning when he put the mouse inside the area of the U-space. You can see a red warning indicating that the area is not clear. Okay, and once the area will be clear, you will see that this warning becomes in green, indicating that the air traffic, well, the manned aviation can enter into that US space airspace. He can see in real time the altitude of the different operations too, to see if maybe they are landed or not. Okay, now, for example, we see that the area is already clear, okay? The rest of the operations that are not affected by the DAR are continuing its operation, and we will see here the same information, but in Dahlia USSP, okay? These were before the DAR, and this is after the DAR, okay? They had this withdrawn alert, and once the operation have ended, the helicopter can enter into that US space airspace. Once the helicopter has finalized its operation, the air traffic controller can stop the DAR procedure and restart the US space airspace in that sector. That is what the air traffic controller is doing here. Okay, and this has been all from Galicia side too. We have seen the type of operations and the functionalities of our platform in control and non-control airspace. As I was saying before, this is a project of 8 different sites and with more than 25 companies, so we have not been able to show everything here, but I would like to express our thank you for all the companies that have participated in this cluster and all that we have developed in these 3 years of the project. Now I would like to end my presentation and to leave the floor to Danny after commenting this last slide, okay? That is the challenges for US space airspace in its next phases, okay? There are different challenges, but we have wanted to select these ones that are from one side that we are waiting for, and we are really happy to will have these new AMC and GMs that are now starting to be developed or are under the development. This is because US space is an ecosystem that is changing so much because it's so new, and there are different implementation, and we want to have more guidance for ensure that all are going in the same direction. There is another challenge too that were expressed in the slide before, that are where the involvement of the authorities, and we think it's really interesting this because we need more procedure to define more procedure for allowing authorities to interact with US space, and therefore we have seen that and we have received a lot of demand from US operator in the Spanish cluster to have maybe a one-stop shop for US operator to can permit this, provide these permissions to fly inside US space. We think it will be interesting for authorities for have a less workload and for US operator to can fly more faster, to have a platform digitalized and centralized in which US operator could interact with US space and get the permits to fly. Well, this is all from my side. I will leave the floor to Danny again to explain you the final impression of ÉALÚ-AER as a Spanish cluster. Thank you.
Well, I think we are in time for advanced time before the lunch. So, okay, thank you very much, Rodrigo, for the interesting presentation in detail. I want to give two clarifications because as an audience, I have some question that I want to clarify of the demonstration. First of all, the authorization for the flight plan, it's in the, let's say, the demo, the U-ELCOME platform. But of course, for the certification process that we are under certification, there is not going to be any authorization process. It's going to be directly from the USSP. We believe that has to be an interaction according to the Article 18F. It has to be more interaction within the authorities, but after conversation, of course, with the EASA and with our authorities, for the certification process, there is not going to be authorization as such. So I think maybe it's something for debating, so I prefer to clarify. And then regarding the dynamic airspace reconfiguration, although we have a panel later, as you can see the difference of the colors, during the transition period of the drones that are flying and they have to landing, there's going to be a different color. So there will be like a flashing red light, that it means that is not still free of drone operations, and after that it will be totally transparent. So I think from the safety point of view is something to highlight, but it will be for the certification, in the certification platform also. So I think it was something interesting to say regarding to the certification and real implementation of this project. So what is next? Well, Benoit and Jenkins introduced how we started like 9 years ago with the industrial research and exploratory research. And now we are facing today the DSD, this important DSD with TRL in each project funded from CINEA, and we thank for that. But what about the deployment, the real deployment? Of course, we are on that, but of course, we need also some funding, as Jenkins also has mentioned. Well, we had the opportunity in Spain, for instance, one project in the last CINEA call that it couldn't be achieved, and I think it's not always easy to achieve the projects, but of course, we are waiting for more projects, and we know that CINEA has the idea and the will to do that. We know about what it means now, the civil US project funding challenges, and I remark the civil part, okay? And so what are the new opportunities to come? Well, at least in Spain, and after this project of Welcome, we are going to continue, of course, with the CISP certification process. We have the agency here that are in charge of that. So, and of course, the USSP certification from ÉALÚ-AER, we will start our request in the end of this year. And of course, we are continuing with the airspace risk assessment of Benidorm City. That will be the first place for U-space in non-controlled space, but there are other places behind, like Coruña, Zaragoza, Canary Island, etc. There are other many places. And of course, we talk today only in ÉALÚ-AER, but I would like to, the rest of the members of the Spanish cluster, please, to stand up. And so in ECHO, another cluster, please stand up, don't be shy. Israel and company, please, stand up. Everyone, Indra, all the members, please, stand up. So the thank you is for everyone. And of course, to Gonzalo, that is my boss, that is in front of me. He's the responsible of being 8 different locations, because and Giancarlo, of course, that he had to, when he started the project, when he did that, we were 26 members from the very beginnings. He was very, very mad and crazy, but thank you also, Giancarlo, to let us to be so many people. You are the Spanish guy, we are like Italian, very family, very Latin. So thank you very much also to Giancarlo, and of course to Ludo, that started all this project. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It's good to see that we're finishing this morning in very high spirits. I would like us to give a round of applause to our keynote speakers this morning as well. Many thanks to them for making the time to be with us. So as you know, there is an exhibition area, and there were a lot of food for thoughts provided by the final presentation, so you can definitely go and continue the conversation during the lunch break. Just to remind of the projects that are there, so of course the 3 projects of today's event, U-ELCOME, ÉALÚ-AER, and BURDI. But you also will be able to hear from the fast-track projects, Ensure, Spatio, SAFIA Ready, Eureka, and Opera, all relevant to U-space operations. As a testimony to the fact that SESAR program is really entering into a delivery phase, we would also like to raise your awareness on the upcoming closing event of the SAFIA Ready project on the 31st of March 2026 in Liège. So feel free to visit their booth for more information, and we actually heard that the Prime Minister of Belgium will be attending that event, so mark your calendars. Thank you very much for your attention. Please come back at 1:30 sharp for the continuation of this event. Thank you.